So I don't know what I'm going to title this video right now as I'm making it, but it won't be anything that can be searchable by people who don't already know about my channel and are subscribed to me. I don't want anyone clicking on this video thinking that I'm going to strictly be talking about the death of Caitlin Nicole Davis and the viral video of it, because I'm actually comparing her death to something else in this video, and inserting my own perspective, and this isn't just like a play-by-play of it, although part of this video will be. So trigger warning, I will be talking about the suicide on video of Caitlin Nicole Davis that had gone viral. For a while, longer than YouTube has been in existence, I have saved and archived certain videos of certain events that had to do with death a lot, but also just strange videos that I felt that might get censored or deleted from the internet. My collection started with the video footage from the Columbine Massacre, but it includes things like, say, the Unabomber Manifesto document, which is readily available online. You don't have to search hard to find it, but when I originally started saving weird, macabre things like this to a certain folder on my computer, I felt like there was a chance that it could be censored in the future, and I might not be able to find it. So, as far as the Unabomber Manifesto, it could be part of a criminal fucking investigation. It could be that people just feel like it's in poor taste to share the thoughts of somebody who was a killer, But I've got a whole bunch of different things in this drive that people might not think is okay to share because circumstances surrounding it involve death. So, when I saw on the trending tab on Facebook that someone in Georgia, a 12-year-old, had committed suicide on Facebook Live, I was like, whoa, this is probably one of those videos that it belongs in my folder because people are going to try to take it down wherever they find it. And sure enough, like the first few news articles that I clicked on said that people from all around the world were contacting the Polk County Sheriff's Department to tell them where the video was surfacing online so that they could get them to take it down because it's so graphic, and they don't think that this video needs to be out there. So, yeah, that reminded me of certain other things that I have collected over the years that are in that folder. So, I went looking for this video that had gone viral, and I was a little late to the game. They'd already pulled it from certain websites. So I looked in some of the normal places I would look for macabre things, and I wasn't finding it anywhere. And strangely enough, the place where I finally found it was a blog post, but I found the blog post on Facebook. Like, Facebook had already pulled the video, but, if you just look at the trending tab, click on it, and you just scroll down the blogs, you will find the video. It's now something like a Streisand effect, where it's out there. They're never going to be able to stop people from looking at it. And so I went to this blog post. I watched the entire video. It's like 40-something minutes long. And for the first half of it, basically, it shows that Caitlin is setting up the rig to be able to hang herself on a tree. And she says a bunch in it. She apologizes to a lot of people. She kept saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. But the things that stood out to me about it were she was well dressed for her death. She had a nice shirt. Her hair was done up. She had lipstick on. She kind of reminded me of one of the models in a Robert Palmer music video, the way that her hair was kind of slicked a little bit in that French style. And so she had prepared for this. She had prepared for her video to be out there. She didn't get very good lighting for the actual act, but in walking up to doing it, she did have, she had her look together. What also struck me was that every 5 minutes throughout this whole video, every 5 minutes or so, you can hear car traffic as if there's cars passing on a road. It's very clear the sound of cars passing in the distance, not in the not so distant distance. Like, she was near a roadway when she did this. When she finally does say her last words and say goodbye, she kicks a bucket out from underneath herself, and she does not not die quickly. You would hope for anyone to have a swift death, however they die, but she does not die quickly. And what's really upsetting about this is the video is like 40 something odd minutes long. She dies in the middle of it, and for the next 20 minutes, you can see as dusk turns into nighttime, you can see that she's still there, right? But what you can hear in the distance is people calling her name. Which, since she was live broadcasting, if somebody else that was a friend of hers knew, say her parents and her friends, they were probably calling around saying, hey, you need to find her, you know? So there's people out in these woods next to this roadway that are looking for her, and you can hear them. And if they had found her when they were calling her name, they would have been able to save her life. She had not been hanging there for even 10 minutes when you can hear people clearly within earshot yelling, Caitlin, Katie, Caitlin. And that's really disturbing that she was right there. And because it was dusk turning into nighttime, it was getting darker and darker and darker on the video, and it's disturbing. They were also calling her phone, and you could hear her ringtone coming through the live video. It's like they were using her phone to try to locate her, or they were just trying to call her. One of the two, but you can hear in the distance people calling her name and her phone ringing. So I was thinking maybe they were trying to locate where she was by her phone ringing. But about 2 minutes before the video ends, you hear that telltale vibration, which means there's probably a notification on her screen saying battery low, And so we don't actually see on the video when people do find her, but by the time the video ran out, 20 minutes or so had passed before the end of the video, after she had kicked the bucket out from underneath her. And at around 20 minutes, I can say that, she was probably dead. For those first few minutes, there was a chance for someone to find her, cut her down, you know, save her life. And maybe one of those people might have been able to do it if they had found her. But by the end of that video, there was no chance. She had stopped moving. She was swaying a little bit back and forth. You could see the shadow, the silhouette, next to the tree, because it kept on getting darker because dusk turned to night, and there was a light in the distance, and so it made her arm next to the tree like a silhouette, and you could still see it blowing in the wind. But yeah, so it left me with feelings like, what is this video going to do? Because I know growing up, people always thought that just bringing up the topic of suicide was kind of like putting the idea in people's heads. That's not really how the science of it has played out, as far as if I assessing someone at my job were to be asking them, do you have thoughts of self-harm? I would go further and say, have you thought about killing yourself? And I would not have any fear of that, because it's been proven that talking about it is better than not. But I'm seeing how this video is going viral, and I'm thinking, what is it teaching other little girls that might be in a similar situation, that are depressed and thinking about doing this? And maybe they'll talk about it more, and maybe some other girls' lives will be saved because this has gone viral and it becomes a discussion topic. But also, there's the possibility that as videos like this emerge, as technology gets so good that we can broadcast from wherever, how many of these videos will learn from each other? That's the really sad thought that came over my head, was the next person that does this is probably going to turn their ringer off first, because they're not going to want to be found within that certain time window where their life could be saved. And if people are using their phone in order to locate them, they won't want to be found right away. So they're going to turn their ringer off, because they will have learned from Caitlin's video that people might do that, might try to call you to try to find you. So yeah, there's that, and that's a real fear of mine, that this isn't the last of these videos that we're going to see, and they could happen with technology at the point that it's at. They could happen independently of each other, with them not learning from what each other did. But my guess is that as time goes on, people will learn from what other people have done, exactly how to do this a better way. Like for instance, not just merely standing on something and kicking it out from underneath you, but climbing to a certain height and then hanging yourself that way, to do basically the better technique of breaking your neck rather than choking yourself over a long period of time, because one's less painful. And that brings me to comparing this to something that came up in my life. When I was 12 years old, my best friend actually committed suicide, and I didn't know it for a couple months because he had moved from my hometown to another town. I was living in Arizona, and he had moved back to Louisiana. His name was Joshua Hawkins, and I just completely lost touch with him, and I figured it was because he'd moved to this new place and just found new friends, and later on I learned that that was not the case, that he actually had died. And I was very, very sad about this, and so I called his mom to find out what happened. And in talking with her, this is what happened. He went to Louisiana with his family. He had to be put into a new school system, and this school system had determined that he had been placed in the wrong grade because he was slower than other students. Um, they didn't think that he should be progressed along like he had been uh, in Arizona in my school system, where they were more reluctant to hold a student back. So they were holding him back, and he was in a classroom where he was the oldest, and he felt stupid. And to be honest, he wasn't the smartest person in the world. He was about a little bit better than Forrest Gump level intelligence at that age, and he had just enough intelligence to realize how not intelligent he was. And that's the source of his depression. So he started really being resentful of his parents for moving him back to Louisiana. Um, and so one night, his mother went to his room and told him that it was bedtime and he needed to turn the TV off. And she noticed that there was stuff on the floor, and in her house, I remember this after sleeping over at their house when they lived in Arizona. They had this rule that everything smaller than a pencil eraser had to be picked up off the floor so that she could be able to run a vacuum. And so there was a whole bunch of stuff on his floor, and she told him to clean up his floor and that he needed to turn the TV off and go to bed. And she said that she recognized that he was watching Stephen King's Cat's Eye. He was a fan of Stephen King movies. She said that when she told him to turn off the TV and go to bed, he gave her a look. And it was, he didn't say anything, he just looked like he was angry. When she woke up, she couldn't find him, and when she left the house in order to go to work, she saw him hanging from a tree. And he had used a Coleman water cooler to stand on, and had kicked out the water cooler out from underneath him, and he was hanging from a tree in the yard. And so the method of death for my friend Joshua is very, very similar to this girl Caitlin, and so that's why I'm making this video even, because I don't really care to partake in the viral nature of everyone talking about this. I just want to talk to my own subscribers about this, because I wonder if there are parallels at that age with all of the people that might commit suicide at that age. Does it mostly have to do with awkwardness? Now, there's people online that are saying that Caitlyn was sexually abused, and they are starting the hashtag Justice for Caitlyn. And there's, in particular, other videos other than her death video where she's talking about her dad and her family that they are mirroring all over the place because they feel like that's what led up to her death. And in fact, in her death video, she said, sorry to all you guys who wanted me, which was kind of weird, you know. She talked about some boys and girls in particular when she said her sorries in the minutes leading up to her death. But the phrase "sorry to you guys that wanted me," that that to me tells me that there's something to this sexual abuse aspect of it. That I'm all for the people that think that this needs to be preserved online and spread rather than following the family's wishes of not spreading it. Because if the family are, well, if in particular those who sexually molested her were trying to cover up their tracks, I don't think that they should be able to. I feel like we shouldn't silence her voice in this. Like, I know she did it the wrong way as far as committing suicide, but at this point, silencing her on pointing out uh, who her sexual molesters were, that's a waste of everything that has happened here. More than just her death being a waste of the rest of her life. And I know my friend Josh was not sexually molested. He had a different awkwardness issue, but I still feel like that awkward age is the common denominator between these two deaths and probably many others. And I just wonder how can we address that awkwardness in a way that might be more like a preventative measure. Like if we could have a mandatory school assembly that talks about the awkwardness of your age and makes everyone feel a little bit better about uh, being alive as a preteen and a teenager. Maybe we might save a few lives. Maybe. Might work better than a YouTube video, I guess, but until next ramble, I'll be shredding a lot of mail from over the years. I just got a new shredder. I didn't want to shred anything during this video because it's very loud, but yeah, I just want to get those thoughts out there before I went back to my life. Sad stuff.